Hi, everyone. Happy New Year. Welcome to Conversations with MM. This is Marivir, and I'm back here in New York City. I spent 18 days in Washington, D.C., which was a sort of writer's retreat, but was not quite a retreat because I was also moving around partying for the holidays with my friends. So I'd like to say hi to Susan and her twin Remy. They were such gracious hosts, my sisters in spirit were there to make the days fun while I was there. And also hi to Aya and Mira and Megan and the cats, Hollis and Goblin. I miss them as well. So our conversation this morning, ladies and gentlemen, is with an illustrator, a freelance illustrator who is Filipino American, and he has done a lot of very good projects that illustrate and depict life as it is and evokes reflections and emotions. So that's what artists do. And so I'm talking then no other than FilAm artist Mr. Dennis Madamba. Hi, Dennis. Welcome.
Hi, Marivir. Hi, thank you.
Good to see you here, at
Yeah, it's
least
nice to meet you.
online. Thank you
Yeah,
so much for
absolutely.
joining me today.
Yeah, thank you.
And so
Thanks
I
for
just
having me.
realized you are in nearby. You are in Jackson Heights.
Yes,
Yes.
yes. So close by.
Tell me how you got there. You just moved in from Minneapolis.
Yeah, so we moved here a couple years ago, like 2 years now, and but I have family here in New York, in the
Okay.
city. And yeah, my partner and I, we're artists, so we wanted to, have be part of the art scene here in the city, and then
I see.
yeah, uh, integrate ourselves here. So be close to
Amazing.
family as well.
Welcome. How long have you been in Minneapolis, and what were the things you were doing there as an artist?
There, I was there almost for almost 10 years there. Like
Oh,
both of
wow.
us have been there for almost 10 years. And
Mhm.
before that, I was in California. So I was born and raised in California.
Mhm.
But there, I had gone to school, and then I just decided to start working there and see
Mhm.
how things go. And I worked through different projects, but I was an administrator for a while. I worked as a print, technician for a bit. But some
Uh-huh.
projects I did there were like working with like the immigrant community. There are a lot of Southeast Asian people there. So I
Mhm.
got to do some projects involving like immigrant stories, like refugee stories.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
yeah, yeah, and a lot with like the Hmong and Lao community that lives there. So yeah, it was
Oh,
cool.
great. So, you were a former adjunct faculty member at Augsburg University. So,
Oh yeah,
what were you teaching?
there I taught graphic design
Oh,
for yeah entry level students. So
I see.
yeah, I taught there for a couple of years for graphic design. Yeah,
How was that as a teacher? Was that
it was. Mhm.
mhm. How
It
was
was
it?
good and hard. Yeah, it was. It's. I think being an adjunct teacher is a little difficult.
Yeah,
Yeah,
in terms of
it's like
tenure.
I'm sorry.
In terms of tenure, it's difficult.
Yeah, well, I guess like in terms of the yeah, it's really a part-time position,
Mhm.
and you don't get a lot of benefits for it, but the
Mhm.
work is really good. Like working with students is good, and but the workload can be a lot. Like you're working in the classroom, but then you're also working outside the classroom. So
Right, right.
you're developing a lot of stuff outside classes and materials. So yeah, a lot of that kind of goes unpaid and unnoticed, in a way. So yeah.
So, what you're learning from there, is it like, did you realize that you're are you really meant to teach, or are you really just meant
Mm.
to be a full-time artist?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think I like teaching. I like
Oh, you do.
well, I do like it. I think maybe just like finding the right place to do that is
Mhm.
what I want to do. So I like doing occasional workshops. I like doing classes with community organizations. So like
Mhm.
occasionally here and there. But yeah, maybe teaching every day isn't for me. Like every
Oh, okay.
yeah, Yeah.
It could be
Like,
just, it
yeah.
demands a lot of discipline and courage teaching.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
what made you come back to New York?
Um, when I think during the pandemic, we were like the height of the pandemic anyway, we were very
Yeah.
wanting to be closer to family members.
Mm-hmm.
And my sister had a baby at
Uh-huh.
that time. And so it was kind of a good time to, assess that. And then we decided, we wanted to be close by. And, uh, and yeah, so we made the move, and it ended up being a good time
Good.
because it was like, it was actually a little cheaper because people were moving away from the
Mhm.
city at the time. So
So your
yeah.
sister is in New York.
Yeah, she was in New York, and then she actually moved for other circumstances.
So you moved in and she moved
Yeah,
away.
she did. Yeah.
But at least maybe
Yes,
you saw the baby.
I did. Yeah, I got to spend time with a baby for at least a few months, or like almost like half a year. But it
Good.
was funny. Yeah.
It's always good to catch up with family, especially at the time of the pandemic. It was so strange, a strange time, and we don't know when it's going to end.
Yeah,
That is
exactly.
strange. So now in New York, what are you doing? You're also like into spreading your wings into the arts.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. It's really fun being here. I kind of feel like, I'm making connections with people still. In these first couple of years that I've been here. But yeah, like I've made this connection with Jacqueline from Little Manila Queens, my Nihan Arts, and
Mm-hmm.
being able to work on that. I worked at a company called Dot Dash Meredith, which is a very large publisher. So they make a bunch of online magazines,
Mm-hmm.
like Southern Living and Better Homes and Gardens, like that type
Oh,
of thing. So I was able to work on a bunch of their publications. But right now I don't have any projects at the moment. So
oh,
Tandang
it's
Sora was
the it's the beginning of the year, so
yeah,
you could already start informing the people about what you do. But
yeah.
ladies and gentlemen, Dennis has been. I just bumped into Dennis. Not, I didn't even see him or know him. My friend Rochelle Ocampo, who's with the FilAm Press Club of New York, sent me the link of your work, which was on exhibit with the Tandang Sora Project at the town hall of Flushing on Main Street. No, no, not on Main Street. Northern Boulevard here in
Hmm,
Queens. And I
yes.
was so amazed that my work, my writing work, my articles, which I gave to Jacqueline, which she actually paid anyway,
Mhm.
um, to be published, and I didn't even remember what was the articles for, but she just asked me a bunch of articles about caregivers, nurses, caregivers who are Filipino. So I gave her a lot, and all of a sudden Rochelle tells me to go to the exhibit where my work is, which was also being rendered into art by Dennis Madamba. So, for example, this one, ladies and gentlemen, like for a writer, like nothing is more honorable and rewarding when your work is being reworked or being restaged in whatever art form. So that was such an honor, and I thank you, Dennis, and of course I thank Jacqueline and Ezra. And here we go. This is one of the artworks that Dennis did about the caregivers, the nurses, doctors during COVID. Because I wrote about this, and let me guess, this was the article on nurses in the Philippines that actually are historically coming to the U.S. and doing heartfelt work. Did I guess that right, Dennis? It
Yeah, you know what? I think this is the one that
or no?
uh, it's not. There is another illustration for that article.
Oh, I think this one. Am I?
Yes, that's it. Yes, that's
Okay. So see, it's like it's a strange picture. It's beautiful, but like look at those medical caregivers coming out from the shore,
right, right.
from the beach. So
Yeah,
that's a great rendition. Dennis. So tell us about that.
Yeah. I mean, I think for this one
It's like
and
a
a lot of
collaboration, and I didn't even
it
know.
is right,
Mm-hmm.
exactly. It is like a collaboration, and I think like,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the articles you wrote, like they had, they had just like great content to pull from, and like really like specific imagery that you can like hone in on. And so, I guess like a lot of the stories that you wrote were about like distance and like how people are coming from, Filipinos are coming from a uh, far away place and like coming here to the US. Um, and uh, and I just wanted to like capture that in this image and in a bunch of other ones, like, and just like how what it means to like, go through that distance, or like, it's like it's crossing an ocean. So I wanted people to feel that,
Yeah.
what it means to do that, walking.
It's it's kind of sad and heartwarming, sad at the same time,
Hmm.
that they leave family in the Philippines and they come here to work and help other families too. Right.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And
Yeah.
this one, what
Yeah.
is this artwork, Dennis?
Yeah, this one was about the article, involving the woman who was labor trafficked into
Oh
the
yeah.
hotel, yeah, the hotel work situation. And so
Mm-hmm.
she left, I think it was somewhere maybe in like the Southwest at first, where she or
Mm-hmm.
the South, and she was working at a hotel, and she had to leave her family behind. And yeah, and so again, it was just like it was not a good situation, and she was longing for to see her son and her husband. So yeah, so again, I wanted to capture that type of distance between them, so that the islands and her being in that hotel setting,
Great. So I remember this story. This is like indeed the cases on labor trafficking, and they were a lot. There are a lot of Filipinos who went into that, and ironically, they don't realize they have been trafficked. Like
Yeah,
they're already in the situation, and oh, this is labor trafficking. They don't realize it until it's really hard already. Then they ask, cry for help, and
yeah,
so that's how we reached out to them, me as a writer. They went for help for their they lost income, then they couldn't have any more money to send to the Philippines and all that. So and then they get immigration relief. So that's
yeah,
my pathway to how I connected with people having this kind of problem. So
yeah,
that's a heavy one. Our
exactly.
kababayan who are labor trafficked, they're in the shadows. They don't tell their stories. They don't even
Yeah,
realize that they are trafficked,
yeah,
and not unless we look at the checklist of what constitutes trafficking. So now
yeah.
it's really very deep.
Yeah, definitely. And I think to what you just said, it like
Mm,
I don't hear that story very often, and it's
yeah.
like, yeah, so that's why it was important for me to read that, and for you to write. I mean,
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
well, it's a learning experience for me too, and
yeah,
it always shocks me, even if like I've been writing it over and over again, same situation. They are
yeah,
paying thousands of hard-earned money from the Philippines to land a job here, as
yeah,
for example, as contained in a contract that they become um, a teacher, but then when they arrive here,
hmm,
there's no job for them as a teacher. They get absorbed
yeah,
by the agent to work in a kindergarten school, and
oh,
so that constitutes labor trafficking. So
gosh,
that's a lot. It's like being normalized, but that's what happened in many teachers. And the one that you
hmm,
rendered, this is a hotel guest worker. They will normally be given contracts that after 3 years they will be uh, petitioned to have green card, but actually they don't. They actually have to pay every 6 months to be renewed their contract,
I see.
because 6 months you're not tenured, so you
Hmm,
are very vulnerable. So they
hmm,
keep paying the agent to renew their contract until after 3 years they no longer they're not actually petitioned to have a green card. They are just being thrown
Ah,
there to the ocean.
that's
So
horrible.
it's a horrible story. I
Yeah.
wanted, in fact, these stories to be like the ones to be in the movies or
Mhm,
on stage,
mhm.
because these are the real deal stories that many Filipinos go through, but just are in shame to not
Yeah,
talk about it.
definitely.
So see, very malalim na ang ating talakayan, Dennis. This is what art can do. And
Yeah,
so now let me show this again. This
sure.
one, this is an amazing picture. I was like looking at it closely and I said, "Oh, that's ginger, and those are herbs." That's my
Yes.
story about COVID.
Yes, yeah, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love this
So
one.
tell us how you developed this art.
Yeah, this one was yeah, this was really fun to work on. It's
Really.
yeah, so the article you wrote about that involves like our native ingredients to make
Hmm.
like, ginger tea or ginseng. And
Yes.
so yeah, I just thought about what does that mean to
That's
to like comfort us, you know?
mhm. That's
Yeah.
very Asian.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
We drink
Yeah,
our tea, our that's our therapy from,
right.
cold and
Yeah.
sinuses, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. I
Yeah.
mean, that's
But
my
this
go-to.
story
Hmm.
was part of my was part of the fellowship for COVID by the Montclair State University in New Jersey.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
and at that time there was no vaccinations yet, and
Okay.
so people, Filipinos, decided to use traditional remedies, the one that you render. They
Yeah.
drink the ginger tea, and they even do the tuob. Tuob is when you put yourself under a blanket and you inhale the fumes
Oh, sure. Yeah.
from. Do you know that from your parents or
No.
grandparents? They
We,
inhale,
no,
and
we never
it
did that.
it, it really got crazy because without any medication, people went back to that our traditional practice. And some
Yes.
Filipino doctors said that's not the cure to COVID. You have to actually take your vitamin C and and
Mm,
everything else, do
yeah.
everything, and
Yes.
then get yourself vaccinated. But still, people insisted. Some people but there's a scientific explanation to that, Dennis, because the fumes from the hot water will
Yes.
declog your
Yeah. Like.
windpipes and your throat. So
Yeah.
it helps you breathe, but it
That's a.
doesn't work for everyone, because some would really have some big problems already, like too 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 bad already, a case of an infection that wouldn't help. That will just be
Right.
like for moderate cases.
Right. Right.
Anyway, so I had to balance it with a
Mm,
medical explanation from Filipino doctors.
right. No, that
Yeah,
makes. Yeah.
so that was how it was during the early days of COVID. Like, people
Yeah.
were going back to our tradition.
Yeah.
How
That
did it
makes
go? I
sense.
mean, not you don't lose anything, and you just drink your ginger.
Yeah.
It has some medical properties that help anyway, and it's proven.
Exactly. Like it's good for you, and it's comforting. Like I feel
Yeah.
like that's important for
Did did
dealing with.
you did you do those traditional things during COVID?
I
Did you have
definitely
your
did.
tea and all that,
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
home remedies?
For sure, I did. I definitely did more, more ginger tea, and then I mean, I started eating more, bitter melon because it's good for you anyway.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
things that we do in order to survive.
yeah. It makes sense.
Amazing. So, well, this is you working. So, like, this is how you create your art. It's on a tablet,
It is, yeah, yeah. So it's on an iPad.
iPad.
Yes,
So,
yeah,
and you
yeah,
have a special pen for that, right? What do you call it?
yeah. It is. It's a little iPad pencil.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Well,
yeah,
that's a new thing now, because like that's digital, and
yes,
so if you know digital, you also know how to do the actual brush.
yes,
Yes, so you
yeah,
can also do that, Dennis. You can
yeah.
do watercolor, or
Yeah, I
whatever
can do
media?
watercolor. Yeah, I like to do a lot of like pencil drawings and colored pencil stuff like that, like graphite.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's kind of what I when I do the digital work, I try to make it kind of like similar to the graphite or the pencil
I
feeling.
see.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. So these things, like they're being taught at school already?
Yeah, at this point, they're teaching more digital techniques now. Yeah, I think
Mm-hmm.
it's pretty much the standard these
Mm-hmm.
days that companies too will expect you to know digital
I
stuff.
see.
So yeah.
Personally, what is your preference? Do you like the digital or the traditional way of sketching and painting?
Hmm. I do like both, and but for like different things. I do think like the digital is really good for like the quickness and for the
Oh, is that so?
convenience of it. But I
Mhm.
still really like the physical materials for because you can feel it. Like you can actually feel
You
the
can
stuff on the
do the
paper.
texture.
Yeah, and people like when people see it,
Hmm.
they feel the texture too. They feel the energy of it. And so I kind of feel a little bit is can be lost when you make a digital thing and then you print it out,
Hmm.
and it's all flat. It's all just like
It's flat. It's really
yeah,
flat,
yeah.
and you don't see shadows, right?
Yeah, you don't quite see the
Like the nose doesn't pop out.
sure,
Like
yeah.
the hair is just like really all flat.
Yeah, I mean it can be you can make a lot of stuff in digital that's like
Or that
almost
will
like
also go.
physical.
You
Yeah.
can do shadowing on
You
digital.
can. Yeah, you can
No,
you can still do that. But it's just that like the final product I think like it just doesn't have quite the same, physicality, as
but
as
there is a different market to digital, and
for sure.
yeah. So which is more lucrative, more in demand, the digital or the
Mm.
traditional paintings?
Probably the digital right now is
Okay.
at least for like illustrators.
Mm-hmm.
Digital work is more of a standard, like because it's fast. Like sometimes a lot of our deadlines can be just a few days, or even the same.
Oh, okay.
You need, um, but I know that people work in physical materials still for even for these like short deadlines.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
I see.
so yeah, it all depends. Some people have a mix for their artistic process, they have a mix of materials, so digital and physical stuff. So um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it depends on how you work. But yeah, I would say digital is the kind of the standard
It's
right
the
now.
in demand right now.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, let me show this. Now, this is your illustration that I haven't guessed which article I did. But this is also another very dramatic portrayal of care workers. So,
Mhm.
what story was this, and what was this about, Dennis?
Yeah, this one was about the well, like LMQ Arts. They made a like a video where they danced. They did like a traditional dance.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. I watched it.
Yeah, yeah. So this
Mhm.
was about that article, where
Oh,
you
they
where you
were
talk.
the nurses.
Yes, yeah, 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 yeah. That's right. Um,
Wow. This
so
is so nice. Like you have a kind of flowing fabric that they all are holding on to. Like there's the connection there.
yeah, yeah. I really love
Amazing.
that. And
I
I
love
mean that all
I
came from.
really like this. This is the best portrayal of care workers.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah, I love that.
Thank-
So would we be able to feature that story, like I mean that illustration of you? And of course you don't have your name here. You didn't put your name on it.
Yeah, my name's not on any of the pieces
You have
exactly.
to.
Yeah, yeah,
Watermark it.
right,
Oh,
right.
talking about how you safeguard your work digitally right now.
Yeah, that's
Because
a good
people can just
question.
get it and put
Yeah,
their name even if it's not theirs and you will have trouble.
yeah, yeah. It is an issue that
Mhm.
I'm always like not quite sure. People
I
are
see.
always talking about it. But when you make something, you do have like a inherent like copyright over it.
Right, right. Well, we will
So
know at the back because like we know the date that it was pushed or published. So the oldest date of publishing that may be coming from you. I mean, I just figured this out.
yeah,
Like that means that's yours and everybody else just took it
right.
later.
Right. Yeah. I
But
mean,
then you have to. Mhm.
that's kind of all I'm relying on right now. Like, yeah, I don't watermark my work really. Or I just like make it like less, like lower quality if I do put it online, just so
Oh,
people don't like reprint it or anything like that.
oh, you mean like the resolution isn't that big?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
That's how you defend your work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, oh my gosh, this is really a new environment for me. And then let's flash this as well. This one.
Yeah. Yes.
What was this?
Yeah.
Could you describe this for me or for us?
Yeah. This article was for the how like technology is important for has been important for like Filipinos and all people really to be together during the pandemic.
Oh
So
yeah, yeah. Oh,
yeah.
now I remember.
Yes. Yeah.
So
So
I
it was,
remember this article was about a friend actually who had to take care of her daughter who was sick with COVID,
yes.
including her husband, and the two little children were left in the house
Ah,
for by themselves. They just had to go get their breakfast, open the fridge, eat
oh
by
wow.
themselves, and then she would like the other person on the left is the mom, and she would check on her daughter because she had to be in bed because she had COVID. So
Yes.
that's the story, and the trying moments there were when the kids had to, take care of themselves. They
Yeah.
eat. They were like 5 and 3 years old at that time.
That's wild. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
and so they would tell the daughter to just go to the fridge, get your cereal, give your brother two, and so
Oh.
yeah, that was sad. It was
Oh
really scary, and she was crying. My friend was crying when she told me that story when her daughter said that, "Mom, I have COVID," and so she was like, "Oh my!" She was like, "You can just, a meltdown, like, oh my!"
yeah.
And at that time when there was no vaccines yet,
Yeah. Yeah.
so
For sure.
she was like, that was the greatest scare of her life to do that, to know it, and
Yeah.
then she just had to be strong for them. So there she was, always on the camera, on the phone, telling what to do to the little ones, and they survived it. And so it's
Yeah.
really coming out from it.
Mhm.
It was like I was also crying with her when she told me about that
For
because
sure.
we were also helpless. We were all just digitally connected.
Yeah.
So
Definitely.
that was the story of your rendition.
I
Let's
see.
flash that again.
Gosh.
So that's sad. That is very heartwarming and courageous story.
Yeah.
And thank you for that,
Yeah. For sure.
illustration of yours.
Definitely. Yeah.
We all could relate. So many of us, all of us, went through that kind of hardship,
Yeah.
and it was only through digital that we linked with each
I
other.
know. Yeah. Incredible. Yeah.
Crazy. So tell us a little bit. Do you have stories like that too on your end, like how you survived COVID?
Yeah. I
Were
mean,
you sick or no?
I
Did
was
you
very
have
lucky I didn't get sick
COVID?
until last year. I only got COVID at the beginning of last year. So
Oh, okay.
so during the like worst part of it, I was just like staying home a lot. I
And you
didn't have
had
my
your vaccine,
yeah, I was able to get vaccinated.
so maybe it wasn't that bad anymore.
So it was okay for me. Yeah, at that point.
Great,
But
great.
yeah, I mean, obviously, like Zoom was really important for us. Like keeping in we were still in Minneapolis during the most of the pandemic.
Mhm.
So yeah, being able to keep in touch was really good. And my sister had just had the baby before that,
Mhm.
so yeah, so obviously we wanted to really like keep in touch at that point and like see the baby growing a little bit. So yeah, so it was
That
important.
was tough, but that was like it's a good thing. Many of us hurdled that and
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
crossed through the very tough times, and it was
yeah,
good. Yeah,
yes,
and so now you're in New York and doing your thing as an artist that you love most. So tell us about what your project or upcoming projects are. What do you think are your upcoming gigs
yeah,
for New
for-
York? Tell us
yeah.
about it.
You know, at the moment, I don't have anything like set in stone as far as like freelance gigs. I do
Mm-hmm.
I do my own projects though. Like as far as I make comics, and so I self-publish them. My friend who lives in Minneapolis and we started a comic book series. So
Amazing.
yeah, so that's
Is it already out? Do you have like a series out already?
it is, yeah. We self-publish it. It's called Campfire.
Campfire.
Yes, yeah.
Uh-huh.
And
So we can just go to campfire.com.
it's actually Campfire Comics and Stories is the
Oh.
.com is the
So-
URL.
Oh, tell us about a little synopsis of it, and then I
Sure.
will push it.
Okay, sure. Yeah, well, it's
Yeah.
actually an anthology. So
Wow.
every time we put together a collection of short comics
Mhm.
from myself and my friend, and then a bunch of other people that we know. And
Mhm.
so yeah, so each issue is just a different collection of stories, and it can be a range of topics. So it's always a different theme for each issue.
Mhm.
So sometimes it was like we had like a pandemic issue, and
Mhm.
the theme was indoors and outdoors.
Mhm.
Or like the last one was strange lands, like the
Mhm.
theme. So it's always like a different. People are always interpreting it
So
differently.
how do you call it? Campfire and
Campfire Comics and Stories.
comics and stories.
Yes.
So we could Google this and it's come out.
Yes. Yeah. It should come up.
Okay, let me do that. So, ladies and gentlemen, see, I just posted it. So, take a look at Campfire Comics and Stories by Dennis Madamba. That is a very heartwarming expression of stories of immigrants, I would say, or is
Uh,
that myths or
these are all types of stories, but like specifically for me, I do create a lot of work about Filipino specific culture, experiences, stuff like that. So that I do put it into these comics.
So I'm going to check this out. So, ladies and gentlemen, take a look at the works of Dennis Madamba, Campfire Comics and Stories, because definitely I'm sure that has a lot to say about our culture as immigrants or whatever. Yeah. So Dennis, I'd like to thank you very much for your time. This new year and all the best to you, and hope to see you in person. You're just here in Jackson Heights.
Yeah. Yes, that would be great.
Yeah,
Yes.
and then hopefully there'll be collaborations, because like we in the media would need a lot of artwork to be more effective in putting forward messages for
Absolutely.
our community and for whatever important information we want for the people to understand or buy in. It's important. That's why artists, you are heroes. You make things more understandable and fun in
Oh,
life.
thank
Right?
you.
Right?
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
thank you very much, and I hope you have a good year. I have to keep using my glasses so I
Sure.
click on the right
Sure.
button. So, Dennis,
Well,
thank you again, and
yeah,
all the best this 2024.
yeah, same to
Ladies and
you.
gentlemen, thank you. That was Mr. Dennis Madamba, and take care of yourselves and take care of each other. Bye
Thank
for
you.
now.
Bye.